Good morning. This is the regularly scheduled Board of Fire Commissioners meeting for October 21st, 2025. Ms. Hill, can you call the roll, please?
Good morning. President Huddy Days.
Here.
Vice President Delucich. Commissioner Babcock.
Present.
Commissioner Garfield. Here. Commissioner LaGray.
Here.
Fire Chief Villanueva.
Here.
Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen.
Here.
And we have quorum.
Thank you. Chief Villanueva, can you start the meeting for us?
Yes, ma'am. Please rise. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please remain standing? Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you. Be seated.
Thank you. We come to that part of the meeting for commission comments.
I'm sorry, I think your mic might be off.
Oh, no, the button is,
Maybe you need to bring it down closer.
oh. The light is on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we've come to the part now for commission questions. Commissioners, does anybody have any comments? We good? Okay. We're now going to move on to public comment. Ms. Neverly?
Apologies.
That's okay.
Our first speaker, Paul Scrivano. If you could state the items you'd like to speak on.
All items and public comment, please.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Paul Scrivano, business owner in Los Angeles. I'm not speaking to you today because you're becoming less and less relevant as the meetings go on. Sharon DeLugich is not here for 3 months now. Is she okay? Is everything okay with her? 3 months off? In the middle of everything we have going on with the department, no union, Palisades, no accountability. Anyway, I'm not talking to you today. I'm talking, whichever camera's working, directly to Karen Bass. Mayor Bass, I'm here to talk to you about making the permanent appointment of Ronnie Villanueva as our fire chief. When you add it all up, I would say the fire department represents Los Angeles City's single most valuable asset. The land, the equipment, the resources, the training, the technology, the danger, the access they have, the goodwill, the community engagement, and the trust. When you add all that up, there is no greater asset in the city of Los Angeles. Trust being the most important. And I'm going to ask you to keep that trust in the hands of Ronnie Villanueva. No one knows the fire department better than he does. No one knows every aspect of that equipment and those men and the stations and the training and the technology and the innovation over the years. No one knows it better than he does. Certainly not a chief from out of town whose main objective is to get to 8.5% female membership. That's not who we need to lead the fire department at this juncture. We had that. I'm also going to congratulate Mayor Bass for firing Kristen Crowley. Although you fired her for all the wrong reasons. It should have been because she destroyed the department, the morale, the culture, with her DEI agenda and her initiative. Look at all the firefighters and captains and chiefs that are retiring years too early. If you want to be ready for the Olympics, you need people, and again, I'm going to mention his name, like Tom Henskin, who would have been on the Olympic committee for public safety, but he left 5 years too early because Chief Crowley, bad leadership, promised him a promotion to chief and then denied it to him a couple months later. Ronnie Villanueva would not do that. Ronnie Villanueva will lead this fire department like it should be led, relying heavily on his command staff instead of dangling them from threads. He will rely on his command staff.
30 seconds.
More than 10 million people have seen my appearances at these meetings. They think you should resign for calling me an idiot with a cane and for telling me to shut up before public comments on June 3rd. We have 2 lawyers on the panel now. What does the city charter say about a commission president What if I was the black female coming up to speak and you were the white male commissioner and told me to shut up, I'm an idiot? They'd be talking about it in Ukraine.
Thank you, that is time. Next speaker, Dave Riles. Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
Good morning. All items and general public comment.
You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Dave Riles, LAFD Fire Captain, UFLAG Director. I'm here to speak about the preliminary proposed LAFD budget for fiscal year 2026-27. UFLAG supports the fire chief's request for $200 million in additional funding for the LAFD. This should be a bare minimum of what we're requesting. Included in this request, the restoration of 42 of the critical EIT positions, additional staffing for fast response vehicles and APRUs, and additional hand crew, and more funding for fleet replacement. We know that the mayor and the CAO have asked all of the departments to participate in an exercise to reduce 5% of their annual budgets, which would mean approximately $44 million for the LAFD in cuts. There's no possible way the LAFD can absorb any further cuts. We want to work with this commission, our administration, and to be on the same page, to make sure that we're fighting for our department. I can tell you that UFLAG had a productive meeting last week with Mayor Bass. We talked about the budget. We talked about the importance of EITs and staffing. She made a commitment to work with us, and we plan to hold her to it. So my message is this: let's be on the same page. Let's fight back against any possible cuts and demand the restoration of the EITs and all the items proposed by the fire chief for the next fiscal year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Doug Coates. If you could state the items you'd like to speak on.
All items and general public comment.
Thank you, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Doug Coates, and proud to serve as the first vice president for UFLAC Local 112. I'm here to speak about the after action report, which once again demonstrated that the LAFD is lacked by the personnel equipment properly to respond to the Palisades fire. UFLAC has been sounding the alarm for decades. Our department is half the size it should be and on a regular day in LA, but much less on January 7th. First, on page 44, the report says that LAFD balanced fiscal responsibility with proper preparation for weather and fire behavior. That's because in 2017, due to staffing shortages and financial constraints, red flag warnings were changed from shall staff to consider to staff. It's terrible that staffing and deployment decisions were made based on budget concerns that have been the case for the LAFD for years now. On page 55, it says, by the evening, there were a significant number of members recalled, but there wasn't any place to put them and no apparatus or equipment to utilize. That's because on January 7th, a total of 40 engines were broken and unavailable to use due to mechanical issues. And that's because the loss of civilian mechanics, which we've been talking about for years. There's also a false claim that we should have an additional 1,000 firefighters held over to fight the fires. But the fact is the LAFD had a limited overtime budget and nowhere to put all these firefighters. Our rank and file firefighters on the ground did everything possible on January 7th. And in the days to follow, the off-duty members showed up on their days off, not paid, to do the right thing. Countless, over and over. We did not make the command and deployment decisions, that we aren't responsible for the fact that dozens of rigs were broken down in our shops. With more bodies, more rigs, and a better water supply, we could, and I repeat, we could have saved more homes. UFLAC has been warning City Hall of the dangerous situations of our staffing and budget problems for years. Tracy Parks is here today. We appreciate her for always listening to us. I leave you with this. After the Palisades fire, what did the city do? They cut 42 firefighters. I repeat, 42 firefighters, and didn't add one resource, not one station, and we still even haven't recovered after our resources lost in 2019. This is unsafe for our firefighters and the public we serve. That is all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Rich Ramirez. Thank you, and the items you would like to speak on?
General public comment in all items, please.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Rich Ramirez. I'm the second vice president of Local 112 and also a firefighter paramedic. Today's agenda items on the budget and the after-action report confirm what UFLAG has been saying for years. The LAFD is half the size it should be. We have half the personnel, half the equipment, half the resources that a city of 4 million people require. The standard of cover released 2024 shows that we need 62 new fire stations, 4,000 firefighters, dozens of new dispatchers, 7 battalions, EMS substations, and FRVs and ambulances. But instead of investing in these needs, our most recent budget cut 42 essential EIT positions, further weakening our under-resourced department. Our firefighters and paramedics are doing more with less. Every budget cut puts residents at risk. The time to rebuild LAFD is now. Los Angeles residents deserve a fully staffed, fully equipped fire department, and our firefighters deserve the support to do their job safely and effectively. That's why UFLAG is moving forward with the ballot measure to finally and permanently fix our budget and staffing crisis. In the coming weeks, we'll share the details of our ballot measure, but I can tell you that it will include an ongoing dedicated revenue stream for the LAFD that will bring an additional $324 million each year, totaling by the year of 2050, $9.8 billion. UFLAG wants to work with the city on our measure, and we are, but I want to be very clear that we are moving forward on UFLAG, on labor's back, on this ballot measure with the language that we are creating. We're done fighting over crumbs each and every year, begging not to cut us and for more resources to serve the citizens of Los Angeles. The city spends so much money on non-essential services, and we can't wait for the mayor or the city council to bail us out. It's not going to happen. So once again, on labor's back, we are going to put forward this ballot measure to increase the budget to protect the citizens and our firefighters that risk their life every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, we do have Councilwoman Tracy Park here present today, and I just want to extend an invitation if you would like to speak at this time. Please note that at the discretion of the commissioner, your time is untimed.
Thank you. And good morning, President Hudley Hayes and commissioners. As always, it's an honor to be here to address you. Good morning, Chief, as well. I want to begin by thanking you all for the work that you have done and that you continue to do to fight to make our city safer and stronger. And I want to say thank you to every firefighter, paramedic, dispatcher, mechanic, and civilian who holds the department together. Just 10 months ago, I joined you all to talk about the dire need for investment in our fire department. 8 months ago, I returned in the wake of the Palisades fire to emphasize that funding public safety needed to be the North Star of the current year's budget process. And what happened during this year's budget process? Just a few months after the worst fire in the history of Los Angeles, what did the council do to the LAFD budget? They cut 42 critical emergency incident technician firefighter positions. The people who coordinate the resources in large-scale emergencies and who are the eyes and ears on the ground during Mayday situations. That's what they cut. You literally can't make this stuff up. And that's why I voted against the current budget back in June, and it's why I'm going to continue to fight against any cuts to this fire department. But where are we today? Not only are we still unprepared
for the next mega fire or the World Cup in 2026 or the Olympics in 2028, we are still unprepared to meet the everyday needs of our city. And I'm not just here as another council member. I am here today as a witness to the effects of decades of underinvestment. I'm here today as the voice of thousands of families whose lives were completely upended and forever changed by the Palisades fire. And I'm here today to speak for the 12 individuals who lost their lives on January 7th. For those who survived, the tragedy didn't end when the fire was out. Their turmoil continues today. Ongoing insurance fights, financial uncertainty, endless bureaucracy, lingering trauma. Palisades wasn't just another wildfire. It was the moment the curtain got yanked back on a hard truth that we've been dodging for decades. Los Angeles is trying to protect a modern megacity with a fire department staffed, equipped, and funded for the needs of a city at least a generation ago. Now, the after-action report is out, and I appreciate the work that went into it. The report captures real problems: late surge posture on a red flag day, staging that collided with evacuations, radio plans that weren't followed, and a fleet that left recalled firefighters without seats. But let's not kid ourselves. The report didn't tell our Palisades residents anything they didn't live in real time on January 7th. This report also raises more questions than it answers. Given that there had been a fire and rekindle in the days before January 7th, why weren't additional assets pre-deployed or staged in the Palisades area? Who made operational decisions and when? And frankly, it didn't name the root cause of the problems plainly enough, and that's the decades of underinvestment in safety and infrastructure, while the risks got worse year after year. And unfortunately, the Pacific Palisades paid the price while the world watched. LAFD needs to be fully funded and fully staffed, period. We need to keep high fire risk communities prepared and engaged, which includes regular training and evacuation exercises. Because I can tell you this, before January 7th, I was repeatedly told by more than one gold badge that they had emergency routes and evacuation planning covered. Well, no, you didn't. And no, you still don't. And that compounded the problems we saw in the fire, and we can't let it happen again. The Palisades fire didn't create our gaps, it revealed them. Clearly, painfully, and on the worst possible day. And the report only confirms the warnings that I and others gave here in this room on December 17th, just days before these awful events. The report only confirms what those of us who were there saw with our own eyes. Gridlocked evacuations, resources spread too thin, chaotic communication delays, first responders quickly overwhelmed without even the water they needed to fight the fire. Catastrophic destruction. But as the Palisades community moves forward on the long road to recovery and rebuilding, the question lingers. How can we rebuild trust so that our department can keep our community safe? If we're serious about public safety, we need to budget like adults. That means sustained, predictable dollars for staffing, stations, fleet, facilities, dispatch, and EMS. I agree with everything my partners at UFLAC, Dave, Doug, Vice President Coates, Vice President Ramirez, and Director Ramirez just said. We need a dedicated revenue stream for the LAFD with performance metrics the public can see. Response times, unit availability, fleet uptime. Accountability is the price of trust, and we need it because time after time, the city has shown they are not serious about funding this department on their own. We're going to have to take matters into our own hands, and I will be your partner on this. Angelenos don't need lip service and false promises, because things right now are not okay. We want a department that shows up faster with the right people and the right equipment, and a city that doesn't make them beg for basics. And to our firefighters, you were heroic in the Palisades. You're heroic every day. This isn't about your courage. It's about whether the system backing you up is as brave as you are. On January 7th, it wasn't. If we keep underinvesting in safety, we are going to keep overpaying in loss. Homes, businesses, memories, lives. It's a bad bargain. And Angelenos are done paying for it. As the second largest city in America, as the city of angels, what are we going to do about what we learned? What we do now must be massive. And those handful of recommendations in the AAR don't come anywhere near what this moment demands. I'm ready to work publicly, transparently, and fast with the commission, the department, with labor and the mayor so that we can hire, house, equip, and codify. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Thank you, Councilmember Parks. Before we go on to the next speaker, I'm speaking directly to you, Councilwoman. I want to thank you so much for coming. I want to thank you for being a steadfast supporter of the Los Angeles Fire Department. I know that you know that the commission also is a steadfast supporter of the Fire Commission, of the Fire Department, and I know that you have a vote and a strong voice when it comes to the budget, and we always look forward to you working as hard as you can to gather the votes that we need to get the funding that we need for the fire department. And so I want to thank you very much for coming and taking the time out of your day. It's not just the fire department that you have to look after. You've got a whole host of other things that you have to look after, so I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your day for coming and making the comments. And if there are other comments that other commissioners want to make, I'm happy to turn the mic over to anyone else. But I personally, as one commissioner, would like to thank you for your steadfast support.
Speak for a second. I really appreciate what you said, and also who the representatives from UFLAC said. There have been years of problems, and what we need to do is to take that very seriously. The Palisades fire was a wake-up call, one we shouldn't have needed to have happen, but it did, and we need to understand and work together to make sure that we have our firefighters equipped. As you said, I love that you said what were the 4 words you said? I loved it. That was perfect. Just like I'm going to look back at it. Hire, house, equip, and codify. I love those. Those were great. And we need to work together on how we're going to make that all happen. So thank you for coming today, and again, thank you to the representatives from UFLAC being here and talking to us about what you all have been going through for years and the frustration, and together we will figure out a way to make this work. And it's not going to be easy, but that's okay because we love challenge.
Thank you.
Madam President, thank you, Councilmember Parks. And I actually thank all of the public speakers. I've always loved public speakers because they give us a view that we don't have normally. But just to address Councilman Parks, because it is this particular time in the agenda, I want to say the bond ballot measure is long overdue. And I look forward to working with whoever is sponsoring or putting it together to get it passed, because it is long, long overdue. It's been talked about, nothing was done. I'm happy to hear that something is going to be done, because you can never fund this department and the losses that we've had over the years through a regular budget process without having to increase taxes or fees or something on the people that live in the city who can't really afford it because the city is already overspent. So I look forward to that, because we have years to catch up on. I mean, we go all the way back to the Reardon days when they cut one firefighter out of every truck. And then we moved down to a few more years where they didn't hire any firefighters for 5 years. And you can't catch up with this kind of stuff with a regular program. So I thank you for your input and your support.
Commissioner Babcock?
Yes, thank you. The line that sticks with me and will continue to be at least the one that I'm going to go on is the underinvestment in safety and infrastructure. So while the infrastructure in land is our greatest asset in LA, what's more important than that is the people that are in the city. And yes, we are all paying high property taxes if you own property here. However, if you look at your property tax bill and you see where that money is actually going, the fire department is not really on there. So it should be, and we appreciate your support and look forward as well to being a supporter of that bond measure. Thank you.
I want to also say to you that I know that your day is full. I know you've taken the time to come, and I don't want anybody to have the impression that Councilmember Park doesn't want to sit through the whole meeting, but I understand, when you take this much time out of your day, and I don't want people to think that we misunderstand that you're going to have to move on with the rest of your packed day. So thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to talking to you. And I think every commissioner would be delighted to have an opportunity to come and sit and talk with you individually, if that works for you. Okay. Thank you for coming so much. Ms. Hill?
Thank you. We will continue on with public comments. The next speaker is Explorer Lee. Good morning. If you could state the items you'd like to speak on.
Good morning, the commission. It'll be everything, so I have time. It's my favorite subject, the radio communication. Okay, due to the copper theft, 3 downtown stations have had a hard time with a business phone getting a couple runs because it comes over telephone wire, the loudspeaker of the station. So, and there's a guy named Fisher at Tech Control. He's trying to work something out. Well, I have an idea. I would like him, excuse me, to get maybe 50 frequencies to 25 of 900 megs, digitally trunked, that would go only to that station, just like the landline, but you can't mess with it. It's not a copper wire. Have one frequency straight 900, meaning not digitally, it can be digital, but not trunked. So when you need a blast it all at once, you can give 0800 alarm check, you can give earthquake mode, and I think it would be really good for the people, and it wouldn't interfere with the rig radios. They're 800, and I'd like to see that happen. End of message. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker we have is Audit LA. Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please. Sorry. Thank you. See, firefighters always come to the rescue. And I appreciate, good morning, commissioners and chief and everybody and all the firefighters. Thank you. I do also very much support our fire department. I'm always at public safety, which I think Ms. Parks is on, and tell them that, like, they really need, the city needs to stop treating LAFD as if it's the, you know, they say like the redheaded stepchild, or it's always never getting what it needs. And of course, we have to support LAPD financially, but it seems that it's always at the expense of LAFD. And so I support all of you. But I'm here for something else. I'm here, you know, I come here for the same reason. It's dealing with with the Church of Scientology and its overbearance and what it does with the city. Okay, so they are getting, you know, they get all these permits and everything, even though they use slave labor. Basically, their people are paid anywhere from $11 an hour to, I mean, not an hour, a week, to $47 a week for 110 hours of work a week. It depends if you're in their, like, their kind of their correctional system, you get 11. If not, you may get 47 if you did well that week. And that's illegal because you're not allowed to, there's no religious exemption for working on public permits, on the public right-of-way, for all their permits. So that's one thing. But my other thing is that their permits require them to have a 20-foot open fire lane, and they never do, okay? They have it where you have to zigzag. Now, LAFD, the captain comes out, and as long as, you know, he gets the truck through, he can zigzag, it slows him down. He's okay with that. He writes that off, and he says that's fine. But my contention is that until the city attorney and Bureau of Street Services and Public Works says that's fine, it's not fine. And I want to keep coming until everyone's on the same page, okay? Because there's no special treatment. You know, Scientology or any entity, it's not even just them. No entity deserves special treatment. I really am asking you guys to please get with Bureau of Street Services, because where a permit says what it says, plain and simple. And if you want to change it to where they can make it, you know, where they can put, there's no open lane, and you want it to where it's okay to zigzag, fine, get them to sign off on that. Get the city attorney to say, yes, that is included. But until everyone's on the same page, they are getting away with, you know, a favoritism from LAFD, which is unfair to any other entity that may not be getting it. Because I know they have these award nights, and they always, you know, want to award LAFD, but that's so, you know, you're not looking at the slave labor, you're not looking, you know, because imagine $11 a week for 110 hours of, you know, sometimes backbreaking work. It's ridiculous. And to have that, and that's why we have no religious exemptions for that kind of thing here. Okay, and so I'm just asking you to please get on the same page with all of the entities that are involved with these permits. And if they're okay with the zigzag, then I will never come back again regarding the zigzag. But until then, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last speaker card we have is Sergey Tomlinson. Good morning. What items would you like to
General comment, all items.
Oh, yeah, 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commission President Hudley Hayes, Board, Interim Fire Chief Villanueva, City Attorney, distinguished guests in the room. I'm Guy Tomlinson, President of the Chief Officers Association. In 1995, 30 years ago, we had a building collapse at 9th and San Pedro. 14 firefighters trapped. Fortunately, all 14 survived. 29 years ago today, LAFD was dispatched to Orange County and then to Malibu for brush fires threatening and burning homes. We ended up at the Calabasas fire, which nearly killed 8 firefighters from multiple agencies on the 22nd. Tomorrow will be the anniversary of all those members being burned. 20 years ago today, we almost lost a fire captain to electrocution while climbing an aerial ladder. All 3 of these incidents, like countless others, grace skilled firefighters, paramedics, and doctors doing their job as trained to ensure these members survived was the key. I can tell you story after story of survival and unfortunate tragic loss with line of duty deaths through the decades, just as many members in this room can share with you. This is an unforgiving job that requires attention to detail. All these incidents have AARs, after action reports, some more formal than others. We after action every incident, from the 92 civil disturbance to the 94 earthquake to the infant near drowning incident we handled yesterday. As we read after-action reports from the past, the Poney fire, the Dorothy May fire, the Sansanita boat explosion, all these AARs created positive change for the future, and we know unmeasurable amount of lives have been saved through these changes and the after-action reviews. On the agenda today is the Palisades after action. This will be one of two formal after actions for the Palisades fire. On the agenda is the proposed budget. We need to ensure we fill the positions from the last budget. We need to get all this budget. We need to get all of this budget and all the positions filled as well. We cannot shortcut anything. As members who work for the city, we all have EIDs. These EIDs are sworn and civilian staff that make up your fire department family. We are a family. Most shops are running short, doing great work, creating the strategy and the budget in the hope we get staffing and resources. The budget supports many decades of after-action recommendations from all facets of the LAFD and keeps pace with the changing environment of public safety. We need to get the resources and appropriately fill the vacancies. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no more speaker cards.
Okay, that's our final speaker, so we will move into our agenda now. We have the report of the fire chief.
Okay, good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Commissioners, Neverly, City Attorney, and distinguished guests. On October 11th, I attended the LAFD Fallen Firefighter Memorial. We had one name added to the wall, which brings it to a total of 280 names now that we have. So do go and visit, and if you could, go to that memorial. It's very surreal. On October 16th, the Great Shakeout press conference at EMD. That was a great event. On October 17th, attended Mayor Bass's 1,000 day out for the 2028 Olympics press conference and celebration. Also on that date, Disaster Preparedness Fair attended by Mayor Bass, Councilmember Heather Hutt, Chief Gutierrez, and myself. On October 18th, I attended the AXALS fundraiser for Eric Stevens. He's one of our firefighters that gave 10 years to the LAFD, but has been diagnosed with ALS for 7 years, and he is hoping for a cure, put it that way. But it was a nice event that they had for him. And that concludes my remarks and the report.
Thank you. That brings us down to item B, which the oral report of the Department on significant incidents and activities for the period of October 7th through October 20th. Chief Moore. Good morning.
Good morning, President Hudley Hayes, Commissioners Babcock, Jimmy Woods Gray, Garfield, Chief Villanueva, City Attorney Gwynn, Ms. Neverly, and distinguished guests in the audience. My name is Jamie Moore, and I serve as the Deputy Chief of Operations Valley Bureau, and I'm here to provide an overview of an incident involving a cooking fire and cardiac arrest that occurred in a 3-story garden-style apartment building in the San Fernando Valley just over this weekend. LAFD resources responded to reports of a cooking fire where a male occupant had collapsed while preparing food. The man's girlfriend called for help, and nearby residents pulled him from the apartment and began CPR. Prior to the LAFD's arrival, a bystander used a dry chemical extinguisher to knock down the fire. Firefighters and paramedics from Engine 86, Rescue 86, and EMS 14 arrived quickly, continued doing CPR, provided advanced life support, and ensured the fire was completely extinguished. The patient was transported in grave condition to Holy Cross Hospital, where he was later pronounced deceased. His girlfriend was also transported to the same hospital with minor cough resulting from the exposure of smoke. Our Assistant Chief 4, the LAPD, arson investigator Clark, who was working in AR1, responded to the scene, and the cause of the fire still remains under investigation, but we believe it was due to the medical emergency that occurred that caused it to proceed. I'd like to acknowledge the quick actions of the bystanders who began CPR, as well as the professionalism and compassion of our responding members. They worked diligently under very difficult situations. This concludes my report, and I'm prepared to answer any questions if you have some.
Thank you, Chief Moore.
Thank you very much.
We now have the same oral report by the department on medical emergencies for that same time period, and it's Chief Warfield who's up.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Villanueva, City Attorney Nguyen, Neverly, Command Staff, and guests. My name is Tim Warfel. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Emergency Medical Services Bureau, and I'd like to share an incident that occurred only 2 days ago on Sunday, October 19th, 2025, at 1700 hours. I think Chief Tomlinson just mentioned this call. This incident occurred in Fire Station 93's first in at a residential home. Metropolitan Fire Communications received a 911 call from an extremely upset mother reporting her child had drowned. This is probably one of the most difficult and stressful calls that a dispatcher can receive because time is of the essence and the instructions that person delivers to the caller must be precise. When a dispatcher receives a call like this, much as you probably are doing, they create an image in their head of the scene based on the information that they're hearing over the phone as if they're actually there. This mother explained a horrific scene in which she had turned her back on her 1-year-old child for only a moment, and when she turned back around, the child was lifeless in the pool. The dispatcher immediately dispatched engine and paramedic rescue 93 and then went to work to try and calm the mother down in an effort to provide her life-saving instructions for her child. The sworn LAFD dispatcher is a 9-year veteran. He's been a dispatcher for just under 2 years, and he's also a paramedic. With the child out of the pool, he was able to quickly assess the child through the mother and determine the 1-year-old needed CPR. Normally, when we provide bystander CPR instructions, it's chest compressions only. But in the case of a drowning, we also provide rescue breathing instructions. And they're age specific. Because of the child's age, you change the depth of the compressions and the amount of breath. So it's very specific, and it's very stressful for a dispatcher. By now, the father had arrived and the parents were able to provide this CPR. When Engine and Rescue 93 arrived, they described the patient as blue in color and not breathing. They took over the rescue efforts and began respirations through what we call bag valve mask. And soon the child regained spontaneous respirations and skin color. The child was transported to the hospital for further evaluation, and I'm happy to report that the child was discharged the next day with no impairments. This incident highlights the importance of having sworn firefighter, EMTs, and paramedics in our dispatch center answering calls for emergency medical service. Nobody does it better. From answering the call to the arrival of LAFD resources with state-of-the-art emergency medical skills and equipment, the LAFD is increasing the survivability of these and many other types of medical emergencies on a routine basis. Thank you. That concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the consent items, A through D. Commissioners, are there any items on our consent agenda that you would like moved for discussion, or are we fine with all of the reports that are on the consent calendar? Okay, so if we're fine, can I get a motion to move the consent calendar and also to move to accept all of the recommendations?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us down to our regular agenda items. Item A is the report regarding the Los Angeles Fire Department's budget request for the fiscal year 2026 through 2027.
Good morning, Commissioners,
Good morning.
Madam President Hudley Hayes, Chief V, City Attorney Nguyen, Ms. Hill. My name is Emilio Rodriguez. I'm the Fire Administrator for Fire Department. It's a pleasure to present to you the Fire Department's preliminary proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27. The proposed budget is crafted around the department's mission-critical services and in support of the mayor's budget priorities for 26-27. Most prominently within the Keep Angelinos Safe, which is public safety, and bolstering crisis response categories, the latter of which is essentially investing in wildfire response and recovery. Many of our requests also directly support preparation for upcoming games and major events, which are also high priority for the mayor. Repeating last year's process, departments were to submit a short form list of budget requests by October 14th, which is a list contained within attachment B of the report before you. Following their review, the mayor's budget team will notify each department of the proposal selected for further consideration. Altogether, the department has 80 operational budget requests for total staffing of 304 positions. That's between civilian and sworn. And those summaries are provided within attachment A of the report, combined with non-departmental requests, which include MICLA, and this is the bond funding for fleet replacement and capital infrastructure, funding for station repairs, and other large-scale investments. The total budget requests amount to approximately $200 million. To briefly summarize, the requests include frontline resources, an additional FRV and APRU team for each geographic bureau, resources dedicated to LAX, LA International Airport, which are fully reimbursed by LAWA, full staffing for hazmat resources, and of course, restoration of emergency incident technicians. There's also requests for EMS support, conversion of EMS field offices to platoon duty for better captain level of supervision, paramedic training, funding and staffing, and mobile integrated healthcare expenses. Special event support, including inspectors, technology investment and equipment, wildfire mitigation and response, including a second paid hand crew and brush clearance inspections. Our current wildfire team has been hand crew team has been fully staffed and operational. In yet another category, we have requests for wellness, safety, and risk mitigation resources, including additional psychologists, early symptom intervention, and employee relations support. And finally, technology infrastructure, investments to support dispatch operations, radio communications, and enhance cybersecurity. Please keep in mind that due to continuing fiscal constraints, this will be another challenging budget cycle that, as was already mentioned earlier in this meeting, may include offsets and budget reductions across the board. The proposed budget is due to the mayor's office on November 21st. The department will report back with a final proposed budget to your commission, reflecting those packages that were selected to move forward, tentatively scheduled for the November 18th meeting. By way of process, the mayor releases her proposed budget to the city council by the charter deadline of April 20th, and after deliberations, the council adopts the budget with any modifications by June of next year for a July 1st implementation. That concludes my presentation. Welcome any questions.
Commissioners, are there questions? I have a question. I just want to make sure that I heard what you said. You're bringing back the budget to the commission before the deadline. Is that what I heard you say?
That's the intent, yes.
So the deadline is November 21st?
Correct. That's Friday, the 21st.
Okay. So you'll be bringing back the budget at the November 1 meeting, or when is?
No, it would be the second meeting of the month, which would be the 18th.
Okay. All right. And when you bring it back on the 18th, is that the last time that we would have an opportunity to have a conversation with you, with the fire chief, about things that we think that we would like to see changed in terms of order of priority? How does the commission?
Preferably, it should be before that, because by the 18th, we should have a final and complete proposed budget. So, those conversations should be held
So
before that.
we need to have
as
those
possible.
conversations at the meeting of November 1st, or we need to have them before that?
To continue conversations to make additional changes to the budget, yeah, it would have to be
It
at
would
the
have to
first
be
meeting.
prior to that.
Correct.
So if we needed to have those conversations, then we would have to have a board meeting just on the budget, is what I see all of you doing this. I mean, one of the things that we had a problem with the last time was that we never really find out about anything until it's too late for us to have a robust conversation with the fire chief, with you, with all of the unions and things like that. So I'm suggesting that if that's the timeline, we need to think about inserting a meeting that just talks about the budget, so that we're very clear about the priorities, about what we're asking, and how we can actually then join with you with some knowledge that we are absolutely supporting the budget. My concern is that I want to make sure that the priorities that we're asking for in the budget, I know we're not going to get everything, and I understand that, but I want to make sure that the priorities that we're asking for in the budget that are just absolutely non-negotiable, that we're just going to fight, go to the mat for, are going to take care of some of the questions that have been asked over and over again by UFLAC, by the Chief Officers Association, and by the commission itself. I think we all need to hear that in a budget meeting where we're only talking about the budget, so that we can make sure what our strategy is, and we can make sure that we let the mayor understand that, Chief Villanueva, that there are some things that we just are not going to back down on if we have to go to city council members ourselves and talk about that, because it's a shared responsibility. The mayor does a budget, it goes to the city council, they do something with it, it goes back and forth. But I think we need to have, commissioners, I think we need to have just a special meeting
I think
to
it's a good
talk
idea.
about the budget, so that we understand exactly what we're asking for. And so that I want UFLAC to understand, and the Chief Officers Association to understand, that we hear you, and we might have not been paying the kind of attention that we should have in years past, but I don't want that to be an issue for us now. We all need to really have this meeting, we need to have everything laid out, and we need to make sure that we all know what we're talking about. What I would like to happen is, I want those priorities to be, to come back, so that we can make sure that the priorities answer the questions about how we are able to have more, not just sworn, but I also think that we don't talk enough about non-sworn personnel that actually has to do some of the work that helps us get what we need done, get done. So is that possible? For us to just have a special meeting just to talk about the budget?
That's fine, as long as we adhere to the
Posted.
notice requirements.
Okay. Any more comments, commissioners?
I have a question. First of all, thank you, Emilio, for the work that you do and for the budget that you sent us that we could read.
Thank you.
I know you worked on that especially. I noticed that there's maintenance in the budget, which is always one of my issues. And and I know nothing is at the level that we'd like to see, so no one thinks, because I say it's there, doesn't mean that it's where I think it should be, but it's there, and not missing. And then there's recruitment and training, which we have to do for the next few years, because we have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of issues coming to the city, and we really have to continue to recruit and train as much as we can. Of course, under Mayor Bass, she has not cut the training program. So, and that we started it back again under Mayor Garcetti, and then before that it had been cut. But, so I'm looking forward to that continuing. Which items in here were mitigated, were driven by the Palisades fire? Because in the report, there's, we haven't got to the report yet, but there are things that needed to be improved that would be budget items. So which items, can you cite anything in this budget that would help improve based upon what happened in Palisades?
I can certainly call out,
I know that there was I saw one bulleted item that talked about resources and the hydrants and the whatever, but is there anything
Right.
else? Because there were communications issues and all kinds of other things besides that.
again, calling for heavy investment in technology improvements that support our dispatch operations, critical radio infrastructure, even cybersecurity. So there's a request for 1.8 million just on the very front page of the detailed list. Hydrant access and plan check support, EMS, resources, again, firefighter dispatchers to increase the dispatch capacity. And several others, but we also have, again, the second paid hand crew for mitigation support out in the wildland areas, brush mitigation support. So that would be a second team of, I think, 26 members to provide frontline services. We also have some heavy equipment needs for hose caches, several other equipment that's essential for operations out in the wildland areas.
Is Crew 3 going to get paid in this budget?
It's only Crew 4.
Only Crew 4. I have issues about Crew 3 because Crew 3 was the first one, volunteer group we had. We need to look at how we can compensate that group somehow because they were there before 4. And then 4 gets paid and Crew 3 doesn't. It seems like it doesn't sound right.
Those are the younger members.
Crew 3.
Crew 3 are the younger
But
members.
they're still the volunteer group that does the brush clearance on a voluntary basis and goes out and fight those fires.
They don't go fight fires.
They just do the brush clearance.
They do the brush clearance, yes.
Oh. That's work that they're doing. That could still be, that they could still, well, that's something to think about. We will talk about that, Chief. I always look for that to be in the budget because Crew 3 does a lot of work that's very valuable to this department and helps with those fires, helps to keep the fires from spreading as much. Okay, thank you very much. I can see and hear. Also, the technology program, when I saw that, I was thinking of the payroll system. So is that part of that going to help to improve the payroll system?
We do have a couple of staffing requests to assist in the workload. There's a backlog of payroll records that need to be scrubbed to make sure, our members are getting paid. So there is a request for support on that end. But collectively, the technology requests for systems improvements contribute to, enhancing not only our payroll systems, but our department-wide technology needs overall.
I see. Okay, and I have a concern because you're paying our firefighters and is extremely important. They've been complaining that they haven't been getting proper pay, so we need to make sure we work on that. Okay, thank you. I think the meeting is a good idea, the separate meeting just to discuss the budget, Madam President. Thank you.
I would also.
Commissioner Garfield?
Oh, thank you. I would also recommend that before the meeting, and obviously as soon as you're able to do it, is if you could provide us with information which connects what happened in the Palisades fire and the kind of changes we're going to be making in the fire department with the budget. Obviously, some of that needs to start happening as soon as possible. So if you could connect those two for us, that would be really helpful.
Yes, of course, we'll make that connection more apparent.
Okay, you first and then me, go.
I'd like to just, first of all, thank you for willing to assist us with the budget. I think it'd be very helpful, for one, and the other would be visiting the council offices. So if we could divvy it up, I think that would be very beneficial for us. So, and I know UFLAC will be on board with that as well.
Okay,
That's it, thank you.
thanks. Emilio, on the sheet that you gave us under technology support, it's number 5 here. One of the things that was brought out in the report, and of course we haven't talked about it yet, is the need for our technology really and truly to be upgraded. So when I look across this sheet, and I can, you know what? I can wait and ask my question at the budget meeting, and I'll just talk to you afterwards. But what I'm interested in is, I'm looking all across the sheet, and I'm wondering if in this section, are we asking for additional resources over and against what we've been getting? This 1.7 million that I see here?
For the most part, item 5 are recurring expenditures. We have obligations to fund those every year just to maintain our services.
Right.
For the most part, we don't have that money.
But
There
I'm
are-
thinking about if this is just to maintain,
Right.
is there something in the budget where we're going to also ask for additional? That's the question that I have, but we can talk about that.
Correct. And there's different line items within our request. There's
I see it.
item 27, where we have additional funding requests to upgrade and maintain our public safety software infrastructure and our computer-aided dispatch. So they're kind of dispersed throughout the request, but it's a
Okay, so that's
combination
the
of,
software infrastructure upgrade that I'm looking at in item 27. Is that
right,
correct?
yes.
Okay.
So we have a need to maintain and we have
that new
needs to
money?
enhance and expand, but
Is that
the
new money?
funding's just not there. I'm sorry?
Is that new money?
Yes,
Okay,
that's another 1.3 right there.
okay. All right, thank you.
This one?
And we'll schedule, but we'll talk to you to make sure that we schedule it in concert with talking to you and really being very clear about what it is that we want to have happen. Thank you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So Chief, are we bringing back the EIT?
I'm sorry?
We asked for them, so we need to fight for those.
Okay. Are we allocated a certain amount of money every year? Are we allocated less this year than we were the year before?
We were given supposedly more money this year than we were.
Okay.
11% increase
Oh, okay.
from the last budget.
Is that
Okay.
like cost of living?
Any more questions or comments? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the report and adopt the recommendations?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That takes us down to item B, which is the report on the after-action review of the January 2025 Pacific Palisades fire. Fire. I give up.
This is the one you're talking about? I never got it. Yeah, it came in the mail.
Okay. I'm going to open it up. First of all, thank you, Commissioner. On behalf of the entire Los Angeles City Fire Department, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the extraordinary bravery and dedication of all of our firefighters, first responders, law enforcement partners, and the supporting agencies. I also want to express my deepest gratitude to the firefighters and frontline responders from across the nation and around the world who came to stand shoulder to shoulder with us during this time. This year has been emotionally challenging for the entire department and the city. While the arrest from the U.S. Department of Justice is a critical step in holding accountable the individual who deliberately endangered our community, we recognize we have a long way to go to the recovery for the city. On October 8th, the LAFD released its after-action review report in an effort to maintain our commitment and accountability. It is a standard practice after every major incident for the LAFD to review and assess and make recommendations to improve the operations of the LAFD. While these reports are normally maintained as internal documents, the Fire Commission voted earlier this year to make this report public due to the severe impact on the city of Los Angeles. That is why we are here today. This report is a critical step we are taking to improve our response preparedness, operations, and protocols. The report outlines the first 36 hours of the department's response, including operational challenges, effective actions, and lessons learned. As you all know, I was not at the department during the Palisades fire response. However, I have witnessed firsthand the strength of the LAFD and have since put in place several operational efficiencies to ensure we are ready for any challenge that comes our way. With that, I'd like to introduce Chief Deputy of Emergency Operations, Joe Everett, who served in a leadership role during the Palisades fire. Chief Everett will now walk us through the key findings of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Villanueva. Hi, Chief Everett.
Good morning, Commissioners, City Attorney Nguyen, distinguished guests.
Good morning.
Of course, Fire Chief Ronnie Villanueva. As you mentioned, I'm Chief Deputy Joe Everett. I am the Chief Deputy of Administrative Operations. And I want to thank you for allowing me to present our findings of the action review for the Palisades fire. This report was an extensive and comprehensive effort led by members of our department's leadership team. They conducted nearly 100 interviews with company members, support personnel, officers. They analyzed radio communications, photographs, eyewitness accounts to ensure we had a complete and accurate picture of what occurred and what we learned. Understand this report is not just an administrative exercise. It's a roadmap. It captures both our successes and our areas for improvement. It's the foundation of how we move forward as a department and a city. For me personally, this fire hits home. My family's lived and served in the Palisades, Malibu area literally since 1937. I've had a family member as part of the LAFD since that time, continuous service. I continue to live and work in that area. I've seen the firsthand impact of the Palisades fire had on our community. I understand the lives lost, the homes lost, the families displaced, and also the lingering trauma throughout the neighborhoods that I currently live in. My family was evacuated during that fire during the entire time while I served as the incident commander. Understand this is not just another incident. It was a community tragedy, and it will remain part of our city's collective memory for years to come. As far as the incident overview, the Palisades fire began during extraordinary and historic weather conditions. In early 2025, the National Weather Service issued a particularly dangerous situation, also known as a PDS warning, one of the rarest alerts possible. At that time, we faced hurricane force winds, at times exceeding 100 miles an hour, low humidity, prolonged drought conditions that left the brush tinder dry. The fire ignited in steep, heavily vegetated terrain in a combination of canyons filled with chaparral. This accelerated the spread of the fire, also made access extremely difficult for our firefighters. Simultaneously, other fires were burning in the region. There was the Sunset Fire, there was the Hearst Fire, and there was the Eaton Fire. This stretched our local resources to their limits. Our aircraft were grounded at times due to sustained winds, staffing was stretched thin, and communication infrastructure was impacted, leading to intermittent leading to our problems in the coordination of communications in certain areas. Despite these conditions, the department mobilized immediately. Crews were on the ground within minutes. Aerial operations began in less than 10 minutes. As far as our operational response is concerned, as you look through the report, over a 36-hour operational period, the first 36 hours, we had more than 1,200 firefighters, 350 apparatus, multiple air assets fought relentlessly to protect lives and property. Our firefighters performed with extraordinary courage and professionalism under some of the most extreme, severe conditions this city has ever witnessed. More than 30,000 residents were safely evacuated, including thousands of seniors and the vulnerable population. Dozens of homes were saved through aggressive structure defense, creative use of water sources when hydrants failed or pressures dropped. Injuries were at a minimal. I consider that a reflection to our training, situational awareness, and the strict adherence to policy for our members on the ground. There was a unified command that was established quickly, integrating LAFD, LAPD, Los Angeles County Fire, CAL FIRE, federal agencies, including the Coast Guard. This was one of the most complex multi-agency fire operations Los Angeles has seen in years, and it demonstrated the strength of collaboration and coordination among our state, local, and federal agencies. Our use of real-time tracking, GIS mapping, night flying operations gave us critical situational awareness and helped slow the fire's advancement despite this catastrophic weather. As with any incident, we had challenges. The review identifies several key areas for improvement. I'll give you some examples. Communications. Several zones experienced radio and network outages, creating temporary gaps in situational awareness and delaying some evacuation messages. Staffing and fatigue. Extended overtime periods for the firefighters on the ground and prior to the incidents impacted readiness and sustainability. Equipment readiness. Some reserve apparatus required maintenance or lacked full brush configuration capability, coordination, and clarity. Early in the response, overlapping assignments highlighted the need for clearer role designations and faster interagency coordination. Understand that we view these not as failures but as lessons, and we've already implemented major improvements to address each one. I will talk about those. Since January, the department has taken decisive steps to strengthen our operational readiness and organizational resilience. I'll begin with the first one, leadership and structure. This administration's made 19 new leadership appointments, including interim Fire Chief Ronnie Villanueva, whose 42 years of service bring stability, trust, and continuity to our department. Another one is red flag mobilization policy. During red flag warnings, all staff and apparatus are now recalled immediately. No delays, no exceptions. Water infrastructure coordination. Weekly collaboration between our fire marshal and the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power ensures that water pressure, hydrant readiness, and infrastructure status are continually monitored. Training and preparedness. Enhanced weather tracking and forecasting tools. Improved public warning systems and evacuation drills tailored to the specific communities. Every firefighter now has a defined role and responsibilities in large-scale brush responses to eliminate ambiguity. Communications and connectivity, deployment of Starlink satellite systems for backup communications when cell or radio communications are disrupted. Expansion of redundant radio repeaters in key wildland interface areas. Also, our operational readiness, a revised pre-deployment model. Resources are now moved into position proactively when a fire weather is forecasted. Tactical meetings now occur prior to the fire, before ignition events, ensuring immediate response and coordination. Community outreach, we partner with organizations such as MySafeLA. That's to enhance public education, evacuation preparedness, and home hardening awareness. Technology and innovation that we spoke of earlier, integration of drone technology, real-time mapping, automated hotspot detection systems for improved situational awareness. Implementation of the Genesis ProTech system, enhancing our ability to issue geographically targeted evacuation alerts and updates. Also, alternative water source training. Every field member is now trained on how to utilize pools, reservoirs, and auxiliary tanks as backup water sources when hydrants are compromised. These changes represent more than operational tweaks. They reflect a cultural shift towards a proactive, data-driven, and technology-enhanced firefighting. Some of the broader lessons and future outlook. The Palisades fire reinforced that the Los Angeles Fire Department is facing a new reality. Fire season is no longer exist in the traditional sense. It is now a year-round threat. Extreme wind events, high fuel loads, prolonged drought have combined to make up our wildland-urban interface increasingly vulnerable. What does this mean? It means we must continue to invest in training, infrastructure, personnel, and technology to stay ahead of the next incident. Through the Administrative Operations Bureau, we're ensuring that every lesson from this firestorm informs our budget priorities, equipment acquisitions, and training evolutions. We are also working with regional partners to standardize terminology, response thresholds, evacuation triggers, ensuring consistency across jurisdictions when future large-scale fires occur. In closing, this review is not simply a reflection of what happened. It's a commitment to what comes next. It honors the extraordinary courage of our firefighters and the resilience of the Palisades community. It acknowledges the challenges we faced and the improvements we've already made. I want to send a message to the residents of the Palisades. We stand with you. I want to send a message to our firefighters. Your professionalism under extreme conditions represents the very best of this department. The Palisades fire will be remembered for its destruction, not only for its destruction, but also for the dedication, innovation, and the teamwork that defined our response. Our mission remains steadfast: to protect life, property, and the environment with integrity, innovation, and compassion. We are stronger today because of what we face. We're more prepared because of what we learned, and we are united as one team, moving toward a safer, more resilient Los Angeles. That concludes my summary of the AAR.
Thank you. Commissioners?
I would like to,
Turn on your, just turn your mic. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Woods Gray, you're first.
okay.
You're second.
Again, thank you, sir, for the report.
You're welcome.
And I want to remember the people in Palisades who lost their homes, their lives. That was a very serious situation. And I want to, along with you, thank the firefighters and the command staff and the people who helped to eventually put this fire out. Because you had a job to do, and you did it the best that you could under the circumstances. And I just want you to know that you are seen and appreciated, and we thank you for the service.
Thank you.
My question that what they said would be answered in this report was how long it took the firefighters who were off duty, who lived outside of LA County in California, to get here. And how the I had a question about the notification and the return to duty. I guess it was the recall of the firefighters during this fire, because I was talking with a firefighter who didn't realize that it was scrolling across my television, report in. I mean, I was telling him new information, and he had not heard it, and said, oh, I'll report in immediately. But I was wondering what information you had for me on that, because every time I asked that question at this meeting, I was told it's going to be in this report.
I do not have an answer as far as the first part of your question on how long it took members conceivably that live out of Los Angeles to arrive. I don't have that statistic. I will tell you that we've improved our recall policy and how we notify firefighters of when to come in when there's a major emergency and we need their help. So that's in our improvements, and that's been improved upon. And there's a number of ways that we do that, but we have improved upon that.
And could you explain to me how the movement of the 19 new appointments is going to impact the safety of the city? How that's bringing about a change?
Well,
Because that was one of the remedies, I guess, that you said happened.
correct. Well, the fire department made some systematic changes to upper administration, as you know, and it was to the purview of the fire chief to bring in people that he thought were going to be able to fulfill those roles that would keep the fire department safe and operationally ready for the next time we have an incident like this.
I couldn't see the correlation between Palisades Fire and the movement of the staff, and also the fact that this department moves people every other day. Are these people still in those same positions?
As I mentioned, there's been a number of moves, especially in the upper administration. Many of the people are in the same positions, but I feel that people are placed in critical roles with the background and experience that is necessary for those roles.
Okay, so were you making a statement about the people who were in the roles before the new placements?
I suppose that it be construed as I'm making that statement, yes.
Because I just know that there's so much turnover in this department on a regular basis that you are not generally in a position long enough to really stay there and make a difference before you move on to something else. And so I was just wondering how the 19 new appointments had, or what difference it would have made if there were another Palisades. Yes, Chief.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Madam President.
The thing is that some of these people, some of the moves, they were in those positions for such a long time that change was needed. So I know you say that we move them all the time, but these particular positions, people were in them for 10 years, 7 years, 3 years, and usually it's only 2 years. So that was the reason why some of those significant changes were made, especially in IT and technology, which is part of our ask in our budget.
Oh, I see. Okay. Those were questions I had.
Thank you.
I'll probably have something else, but I'll let other commissioners talk.
Commissioner Garfield?
Thank you. Thank you for your report. That was very helpful. Obviously, when we looked at the report, there are a number, many recommendations that are made in the report. So what would be helpful is if you could, because I think we probably all looked at this report very carefully and studied it, and now we need to understand what has been implemented, how has it been implemented, and what you plan to implement in the future. So if you could provide a copy of your remarks to us, first of all, that would be very helpful. And then if you could help us go through this report and clarify which of the proposals, as I said, the timeline and when they're going to be implemented in the future if they have not already been implemented. I mean, we know there's a lot of work to be done. We know that you all are working very hard in trying to make the changes that need to be made. But we need to understand sort of the scope of that. So you mentioned several things. I don't remember exactly how many. Let's say it was 10, but maybe there's another 100 that are out here. Some of them you may have decided not to implement, and we need to know that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I highlighted some of the ones that I thought were important for this particular brief. There has been 42 recommendations. Most of those that we've implemented, I do have a list, and I will share that with you. And then, like I said, most of them have been implemented. If not, they're in the process of being implemented. So we've covered, in some form or another, all of the recommendations that were made in the after action report, and I will share that with you.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Babcock?
I just want to make a particular note that we are focusing on technology enhanced because I think with a catastrophic event of this nature, with, you mentioned it, the 100-mile-per-hour winds, the drought conditions, I don't know if 1 million firefighters out there would have ever solved for this issue. And I think that's something that we need to, yes, we can move positions around, we could have added more firefighters, but in reality, this was a catastrophic wind-driven, drought-related event. So I appreciate the focus on that as well. And with technology coming into 2025 and beyond, I know there's many things out there. So if an after-action report is also containing those, I think that's important to mention. So I just want to thank you for noting the technology side today, because a human being couldn't have stopped this fire. Thank you.
For sharing that.
Okay. I want to thank you, Chief Villanueva, and all of those that put this report together. It was important to the commission that this report not be an internal document. to make sure that there is transparency, to make sure that we were able to point out what our challenges were. The report breaks those up into primary challenges, secondary challenges, and then we have a whole list of recommendations. We also have pages of talking about our successes, and I think it's important for us to make sure that people do understand that there were successes. As a matter of fact, 83 are listed in this report, the successes, the things that we did right. I always believe that it's fine to critique and it's fine to talk about our challenges, but I think it's also what the public needs to understand is that we did some things really, really, really well. Some things we did right, and some things I think that this fire department should be commended for having done. So I want to point that out, that there are successes. My next question is, was there collaboration as we were putting this together between the team that actually did the work? Because I know there was a task force that was put together, a group of people who actually did the work, the people who really talked to people, the people who really interviewed people, the people who did the assessment and the analysis of that work. And so I want to make sure that they were fully engaged in putting this report together. I know you're presenting the report. I know the report probably was done under your auspices. But I think it's important for the public to know just exactly how their work and how their commitment to what they did, the hours of doing investigations, the hours of doing interviews, gathering that information, making sure that they fact-checked again to make sure that everything that was in this report was correct and transparent. So how did you collaborate with your team when this report was being put together, number one? And number two, can you tell me how those people were selected? What was the basis for them being selected to do this work? Because this is important work. And I want to make sure that the commission understands that there was a lot of thought put into their skill set, the positions that they held, how informed they were on wildland fires, because that's what this was, a wind-driven wildland fire. So if you can talk to me about the team, how it was assembled, why those individuals were selected, and then how did they collaborate to make sure that everything that they did, all of the information that they had, managed to get into this report.
If I could take the first part of it, is the team is our critical incident command team that we have, that we put together. So
What's it called?
They do all of our, it's actually our CERT team.
Okay.
And so what they do is any critical incident that we have, we create a after action report. Anything that's significant, any fatalities. So that's how we had that group together of 7 to 10 people. Then they took the first 36 hours and took the most.
So are these the same people that do this kind of work for us fairly routinely when we have something? I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we didn't just
Yes.
cherry pick these people from someplace out of space.
Yeah, these
These
are-
are people who always have the skill, the talent, and the expertise to do this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then also we'll have somebody in training with them so that if they can't complete their team, that somebody's always in training to be prepared to step in.
Okay. So I want to, first of all, acknowledge that team, and I'd like to thank them for their contributions to this report, which I think is important, that we acknowledge them. And we now know how they were selected for their expertise, and this is the team that generally does these kinds of reports when we have these kinds of incidents, so that we want the public to understand that these people actually have the capacity, the ability, and that they know how to put these reports together. So my next question is, I looked at the primary challenges, we had secondary challenges, and then we get to lessons learned and recommendations. You mentioned in your presentation that some of these recommendations had already been addressed and that they've already been put in place. Is that what I understand you to say?
This is correct.
Okay. Can you point out which ones they are?
Well, there's 42 of them.
Right, I know there are 32 of them, so you're handing me this. This is what has already been done. Okay, it would have been helpful if we had had that. But just, if you can just.
So I could read the bold
So you're
statement.
saying that these are the recommendations, so 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. This list that I have, all of these have already been put in place?
Not all of them.
Okay, so I want to know which ones.
All but 13. So,
Well, but does it indicate on here
But I want to
which
know,
were- Excuse me, sweetie, go ahead.
I want to know which ones. Does anybody know which ones?
Chief Legal, step up.
Specifically, Chief Legal, thank you. I think we want to know which ones so we can check them off of our list.
Good morning, ma'am,
Morning.
commissioners, Chief Villanueva, Phil Legal, Emergency Operations Chief Deputy. So, yeah, right after the report came out, we took all 42 of those recommendations that were there for improvements, and we put together a list of action items to work on those objectives to get those things taken care of. What you have in front of you is actually a draft. There's correct, ma'am. There is a updated copy that we've recently updated in the last couple days, but it's basically the same thing there. The 42 recommendations with the departments and/or units or sections that are responsible for completing those tasks. And I can't really see the copy you have there, but out of those 42, if you look at the bullets that are on there, select for number 1, the reevaluate, update, department resource augmentation, pre-deployment strategies matrix. And the person responsible for that is emergency operations or the department section unit. And then below that, I'm sorry.
Okay. Potentially, maybe we need to talk about these recommendations at another meeting because all of us don't have this. And
Yes,
what
ma'am.
would have been helpful.
I can just give you the quick, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
You can tell me, but
I
I'm
had too much
saying
coffee this
maybe,
morning already.
We can talk about them.
And I'm obliged to do that, and we probably should do that, but just to give you the overview is,
Okay.
out of those, the bullets that are actually darkened are the ones that have already been completed. And as you go down, if there's a bullet that's like an open bullet, that's in process of being completed and how we're going to do it. And again, you have a draft there, and we can share with you the actual updated copy. And I can probably have a separate meeting or discussion, if that's appropriate, that I can explain that to you all better and let you know exactly where we're at of getting towards solving or completing these action items to make ourselves better.
So this draft copy that I have, you're saying that there are some things that are bolded, and I would know that those are the ones
Right
that.
there, those are bolded, those are not done yet.
Madam
Those are done.
President, pardon the interruption. Do you want me to make copies for the rest of the commission?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Actually, Neverly,
Or,
You want to use that one?
can I use this one? Neverly, can I, this one's probably more appropriate because that one's not, and I can run out and go do it real quick for you really faster if you're, okay. Yeah, that's a draft. So to answer the question again, as soon as the report came out, we drafted this, put action items on, and started what we had to do. Some things we actually already had in the process that we knew from the very beginning about what Chief Everett described, the Genesis application and the training of our field battalion chief commanders with the Genesis app and how we're going to do evacuations. So that was implemented in early April. And then actually last month, or actually today is the last day of our training for the training of all chief officers for our new evacuation we call footballs, which has all of our new map overlays for evacuation routes and evacuation areas that has the Genesis map overlay on that. So I know it's kind of complicated information to share with you, but a lot of things has already been put into play already because of the realization of what happened right after this incident occurred, and we started action on it. And now that we have it in print from the AAR, we put those items on a piece of paper.
Okay. So what I believe is going to be important for the public and for the commission is if we can get a report at our next commission meeting so that we know exactly which one of the recommendations you have already implemented, so that we can see what you've done. I mean, this is a time when this can't just be a document that all of a sudden just goes away. And we never talk about it in public. Just let me finish, okay? So what I am suggesting that we do is I am suggesting that subsequent commission meetings, as these recommendations are worked on, as these recommendations are put into place, the commission should be able to have all of that information, your plan for how you're going to address the recommendation, your timeline, your process for doing that, the way you're going to evaluate it, the way we're going to know whether or not it's going to be successful, all of those kinds of things, because this really is the roadmap, as I understand it, for change in the department. And in order for the commission to understand that, in order for the commission to have a meeting where anybody in the public can listen in, as opposed to us just accepting and not really understanding the full plan that the Los Angeles Fire Department intends to put in place to meet all of these recommendations. In addition to that, the recommendations that you really think they're here, but they're things that we can hold off, or they're recommendations that the department doesn't agree with. Every time there's a report and every time there are recommendations, doesn't necessarily mean, Chief Legal, that those are recommendations that you and those who have the expertise would believe needed to be worked upon and implemented. So I'm asking, and I'm asking my fellow commissioners, if that's okay, that this continues to come back with different iterations so the public finally understands just exactly what we've done with these 42 recommendations, where we are with implementing them, how we're implementing them, and then how are we going to determine and how are we going to gauge whether or not we're successful. Because I agree with everybody else, this is not going to get any better. And I shouldn't say climate change, because I know that's a bad word, but we all need to understand that there is climate change. We understand the topography of Los Angeles. We understand what happens in our canyons, that they draw like chimneys. As the earth gets warmer and drier, we should anticipate that something like this potentially could occur again. So we really need to make sure that the public understands that we have taken these recommendations seriously and that we are going to report publicly on which ones we put in place, how we put them in place, and how we are determining whether or not they're going to be successful. Is that? That is my,
Yes, ma'am.
that's what I'm asking. I'm not necessarily asking for you to do that today, because I know that we haven't seen this. And I don't think that that is fair for us to ask you to go through all of that today. But I will say that I'm going to put this on the commission agenda for every meeting so that we can work through this for you and that you are able to share this with us publicly, how this works.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, to take some time to be honest with you, a lot of those recommendations, that what we've done, the dates that we've accomplished them and how we did it are on there already. Chief Villanueva already described.
This one that
That is
we have.
correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. So take your
Good.
time. There's a legend at the bottom of
And
the kind of.
is this a public document at this point?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? We have it, and you guys have it, but I would believe that the public would also be interested. This is, right now, it's a work in progress, and I get that, and I agree with that. But at some point in time, we also need to reassure the public who has this document. I mean, the after-action review is out there. So we still need to, I want to acknowledge and I want to thank you for providing this for us. But I still think that we need to make sure that everything that we know, the public knows.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Part of the interjection, once again.
Sorry?
Part of the interjection, and I will defer to Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen, but I believe since you guys, it has been distributed to you guys, and it's under consideration that it needs to be made public. But again,
That is correct. If there's anything that's given to the commissioners, it needs to
Has to
also
be given to the public.
Right.
Supposed to be.
And again, we just finished this week.
Yep.
So that's why we're all seeing it. That's why we had a draft, so.
Chief Legal, Chief Everett,
So that means now it is public.
I just want to make sure that you understand that I am not in any way criticizing you. This was a lot of work. And this was a excellent report, in my opinion. I don't know about my colleagues. But I just want to make sure that we continue with the same kind of transparency that we have here. I am in no way criticizing you. The amount of time it took for you to put this together, the amount of time it took for the team to put this together and do all of these hundreds of interviews. I want to thank you for letting us know that they had the ability, they had the expertise. This is the same team that does this most of the time for us, which means that they understood what they were doing. This may have been worse, but they understood that. That's why they were selected. I am not in any way faulting you for any of that, Chief Legal, or you about the report. I simply believe, though, that as we move through these recommendations, that it's going to be important for us to understand what's happened and for the public to understand what's happened. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam President, I would support your statement. The report was wonderful. I learned a lot about the department that I didn't know, and it went into details. I particularly appreciate the fact that they put that glossary there. I hadn't seen it at first, and then I finally get, oh my God, there's a glossary, something that I've talked about for many, many years on these reports. But that was great. But I agree with the president also that sometimes some of the things need more details, and the report is fine. But if we listen to you later, you come back to us again, you can tell us more about the community education program. You know, it's there as a bullet, but what does that really mean? Who are you working with? Who are the people in the community? Is it the neighborhood councils? Who are these people that you're talking about? And then the advanced evacuation procedures, we need to know more about that. You know, what are the details to some of the things that you have in the report? I think that would be really good, because I remember Tom LaBonge always telling me I need to take a helicopter to see his district. So not just the Palisades has evacuation problems. There are many other places, and I want to know how does it relate to those other places in the city? Are we dealing with every place in the city that has an evacuation problem? Because there are some serious problems in those hills and other places. So I agree with the president on that. But I do thank you for I can see the details that went into the report. And it does talk about things that it points out a lot of interesting issues that we can discuss later about the department. And things that I didn't know that I thought were probably there, but maybe needed more help. But I really appreciate the fact that this report gives us a lot of information about the department that I did not know. And so I agree with the president on having further conversations.
Could you also clarify for us why some of them are circled, the numbers? And then I also see the Geo Bureaus is circled several different places, just so we can understand the report a little better.
Yes, that was my personal copy, so it's got some notes on there, so that doesn't, disregard that, and the chicken scratch on the back last page, disregard that too. So I could get you a fresh
Oh, that's
copy. if
fine.
you don't-
No, as long as we just know that, there's no
It was
need
just,
to.
That is.
me making
Okay.
some notes.
All right. And was there anything in the recommendations that we were referring to before that is not included on this list? Or is this basically all 42 with a breakdown for each one?
You are correct, ma'am. That is all 42 with a breakdown of basically objective and an action item to how to handle it, and if it was completed, the data was completed. And the ones that have a TBD are obviously TBD, and like Madam President said, there's some things that we just can't do or we haven't thought about doing, and we'll take them under consideration. And as our meetings move forward, we can say this is why we're not, or what we're planning to do about that.
Okay. And then on the last page, there's the geos, and then it says 13. What is
Again,
that?
that's my notes, and I
Oh,
should've
can we just
not-
ignore those
Yeah,
then?
that's
Okay,
that's
fine.
me.
We'll just-
Yeah, that was
that's fine.
again.
No, this is really helpful I mean, we've all been spending a lot of time this week with this report in preparation for the meeting today, and this is really helpful. And I think having discussion about these going forward will continue to be helpful, so we can figure out together with all of our, everybody, the different constituencies that are here, how best to implement these proposals. So thank you very much. We know you all have been working really hard on this, and we appreciate it. But we think this is going to be an ongoing process, And as catastrophic as that fire was, there is one positive thing, and that is that we can use it as a learning experience to make sure we prevent these kind of problems in the future. And thank you for all the work that you put in. We just need to get it sort of all together so that we can understand it as well, and hopefully help you in that implementation process.
Yes.
One of the other things, Chief Legal and also Chief Everett, I think it would make sense when we have our agenda review committee meetings, meeting with the chief of staff, sometimes the fire chief joins us. If these people, Chief Brown could be included as well, so that when we plot out when this is done, we are working in concert with you as well, so that we know when these things should come back to the commission. I don't think that the commission should be doing that by itself, because you're doing the work. And I want to acknowledge that this is a lot of work that needs to be done, and so we should be thoughtful and we should be purposeful about what recommendations come first, what kind of information the commission should really get that we think should be public information. And I think that there is always a better way to do this if we're collaborating. If the commission is collaborating with those of you that do the work, you're the experts.
Right.
You're those people that are trained to do these things. And so I would ask if they can be tasked, Chief Villanueva, for our next agenda review meeting. It maybe could be Chief Brown a little longer, so that we can all make sure that we are all on the same page when we are talking about this coming back in every iteration that it needs to come back in. I believe that we do better if we can collaborate on this. Is that something that can happen?
So you just want to continue this matter, or just want to include it on the next agenda?
Can I include it on this agenda? Can I say that I'm asking for that to happen, this expanded committee, to talk about how we're going to have further, future agendas?
I don't think you have to do that.
So
Or no?
you're asking for specific staff to be included in the agenda review process?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I don't think you have to do that.
That's what I'm doing.
That too.
I'm asking for specific staff. Do I need to name them?
Unless they're.
No, because it might change from meeting to meeting. It might change from meeting to
Yeah,
meeting.
it might change.
Okay,
That's
we
all
don't
I'm
need to
saying
name
publicly, is I would like to have that happen. Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments or suggestions?
One other question is that I think would be helpful for us, because I'm sure it's something that you're taking into consideration, and that is how these different proposals relate to the budget. In other words, how much are they going to cost? And what are the implications if we do this, we can't do that, or how do we go and take that and make it part of the budget process and explain why it's so important and why it needs to be a priority. So I'm sure that, and all of this is happening at the same time, and I know that's a lot on you all to sort of organize it, but we would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am, and as you mentioned that too, like on number 2, it talks about technology and weather, and it talks about a new weather station. That's already included in the new budget that Emilio talked about, so hopefully that gets passed through. But that are some considerations that are in there, and I'll follow up on that as well.
Okay. Are there other questions? I'm sorry, other questions or comments? No, we're
No.
good?
My question, I did have a question about the recommendation. Since you wanted to continue on, should the recommendation change from that the board just receive and file? Or-
What I'd like to do is, I'd like for us to receive and file the report.
Okay.
And then I want to make sure that we are going to continue at each board meeting a discussion about the recommendations.
Okay, well,
And how
we
they're
don't need a
doing.
motion for that, right?
No, we don't need a motion
No.
for that.
Okay.
But I do believe that we should receive and file the report itself.
Okay.
In toto.
Okay.
And then at subsequent commission meetings, we will work with the department, we will work with the fire chief, we will work with Chief Brown around how we are going to bring these recommendations forward, so that we're not asking the fire department to bring all 34 of them at one time.
Right.
They have a humongous amount of work to do in addition to working on this. So I think we should be thoughtful about, do we want them to go in order? Or do we want them to tell us what they're working on and why they've skipped some? Because maybe they'll take them longer to bring them back to the commission. But I think we cannot do that if we don't talk to the department. I just really believe that we've got to be in concert, Chief Brown, with the department so that we understand what their workload is and why they might be skipping around. They might not be taking these all in order. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that just
They're,
helps.
yeah, they're no particular order, so yes.
Okay. Once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Chief Everett. I want to thank you, Chief Villanueva. I believe that this report is actually a new beginning for us. So I find it to be positive. I know that we see that there are challenges. I understand that. I'd like to thank the department for being honest about that we have challenges. There may be challenges that we still don't know. But I think this report was very transparent and was very clear and specific about the challenges that we have, about the successes that we've had. And I want to acknowledge Councilmember Parks' remarks and UFLAG's remarks. I think we are all of the same accord that we need to have more funding. It needs to come, if not in the form of waiting for each budget cycle. I'm in agreement that maybe we do need to have a bond. That may not be under our jurisdiction to talk about, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the commission, I think I'm speaking for all of us, are in full support of the fact that we have got to have more funding. And we can't keep waiting for it to happen 10 years out. You know, every budget cycle, we can't keep happening that. But I do believe that the administration and the city council are working as hard as they can. We're one of 41 departments, and we have to acknowledge that. And the city only has so much money. We just need to make sure that we are very clear about what we need, how quickly we need it, and how hard we're going to push to get it. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. We're not pushing back on anything that UFLAG said or the Chief Officers Association said. So thank you, Chief Legal.
You're welcome.
And sorry to put you on the hot seat
Always a pleasure.
this morning.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that we receive and file BFC 25-059, report on the after-action review of the January 2025 Pacific Palisades fire.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. That brings us to adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.